Third sentence of the Declaration of Independence declares that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. I'm going to focus on the first half of that sentence. And it says that to secure these rights, which rights? The God-given, unalienable rights that were talked about in the immediate preceding sentence. Second sentence says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. All right? Those are the rights they're talking about. Third sentence says that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. They are telling us that the purpose and foundation of this country was to secure to every man, woman, and even unborn child their God-given, unalienable rights. That's what the founders wanted when they started this country. Those are the fundamental principles. One, we get our rights from God, and our most important rights from God. And two, the fundamental purpose of government is to secure your God-given, unalienable rights. It means they're obligated to secure your rights even if you don't know what they are. If they say a man, woman, or unborn child that's having any of its unalienable rights violated, government's prime directive is to secure those rights. They don't care if you're intelligent, they don't care if you're well-educated, secure those rights. That was government's duty. Government has never wanted to be our servant. Government has worked steadily for at least a century now. We can trace it back probably to the Civil War. They have worked to slowly whittle away and reduce us from the status of sovereigns above government to the status of subjects below government. And more or less that's where we are right now. This is part of the reason why we heard one of the speakers, I think it was Kiko, talking about hearing, no, it was Mr. Rodriguez, making the point that one of the speakers, one of the people he debated, had said all of our rights are flowing from government right now. This is the heart of this spiritual battle, and it's not just politics. It's not just economics. It's about, are you going to stand up and serve the good Lord? This is spiritual warfare, and they want you moved away from that. They want you to forget it. If you go to your 4th of July celebrations, I've attended them now every year I've been alive. I mean, I'm sure my mother took me to 4th of July celebration when I was a little baby. I don't remember it, but I was there. I have been to one in all my life where anyone even mentioned the Declaration of Independence. And yet that is the document that we are celebrating. And more particularly, we are celebrating the principle that we get our rights from God, number one, and number two, principal business of government is to secure those rights. Let me give you and it's not an accident that we don't hear about it. They don't want you to know these arguments. They don't want you to see, because this is powerful, powerful stuff. This is an argument that can be advanced under the First Amendment. First Amendment guarantees your right of religious freedom. All right? It prohibits government from establishing a religion in this country. All right? You can make this claim under Article 1, I think it's Section 6 of the Texas Constitution. You can make a claim on your God-given unalienable rights. You can make it on, can't remember if it's 10th Amendment or 9th Amendment. One of them deals with rights, one with power. I think the 9th deals with rights. Yeah, 9th Amendment deals with rights, and I think the 10th deals with powers. The 9th Amendment guarantees that you can claim any right. It says that the Constitution, the listing of any rights in the Constitution, shall not disparage the existence of other rights. These God-given unalienable rights are declared in your Declaration of Independence. They're there. They're waiting on you if you can learn how to apply them. The government doesn't want you to do it because they fear the religious people. They fear a spiritual revival. They fear a people motivated by their faith. The truth of the matter is, we can take your homes and we can take your cars, we can take your spouse, we can take your children. And the vast majority of you will simply sit there and stomp your foot and say, I'm mad as hell, and you won't do anything about it. That's the truth. But if people come and mess with your faith, at that point in time, people will stand up and They will line up their pitchforks, they'll get their torches, and they will storm the castle. When you motivate people by their faith, this is holy war. There's no room for compromise. When you understand spiritual principles, you become a very difficult power to deal with. That's true for an individual, it's true for a nation. We've lost recollection of our God-given unalienable rights. Government doesn't want you to know about it, and one of the classic examples of the consequence are the abortion laws in this country. Why is it that you can abort a baby? And the answer is found in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, adopted in 1868, 3 years after the Civil War. And the first sentence says, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. If you are a citizen of the United States, you are entitled to civil rights. But those rights don't kick in until when? Until you're born. This is why they can have partial birth abortions. They can have a baby that is within 30 seconds of fully exiting the birth canal. They can scoop the brains out of that baby and throw them in the trash. Because technically that baby has not yet been born. It does not have civil rights. The Declaration of Independence, on the other hand, it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. When do you suppose the Creator endowed you with those rights? At the moment of creation. Those God-given unalienable rights attach at the moment of your creation, which is no later than the moment of conception. No later. There's a passage in Jeremiah where God's talking to Jeremiah and he says, I knew you before you were ever in your mother's womb. Implying that we may have been created long before we were conceived. Now that's an argument we don't have to get into, but it is at least a possibility. And the point is, at least under the Declaration of Independence, the God-given unalienable right to life attaches at the moment of your creation, no later than your conception. Under the Declaration of Independence, you're not going to have abortion. Right? It's just one example of the consequences we pay for forgetting our spiritual foundation, being dragged off into a world of politics and economics. You're going to have to get back and grab hold of that spiritual foundation if you want to take control of this government. If you can't get hold of that spiritual foundation, you're not going anywhere. You're going to get you might get elected. But it's a little bit, as Kiko was saying, you get up there, you're there a little while, you wind up succumbing to the pressure. You wind up becoming a treasonous whore, just like the rest of them, because everybody's doing it. And by treasonous whore, what I mean is you sell this country down the river to make enough money to run for re-election. Why? So you can make more money to run for another election. Nobody's reading the damn legislation. Why are they going? They go to get elected and get re-elected and elected again. And in the process, they take the money from whatever special interest has it. The special interests will submit legislation. They say vote for these, and the congressmen do it.